Welcome everybody. My name is Gerald Longoria, and I'm joined today by Tiago Da Costa. Thank you for attending our session today, where we'll be talking about secure foundations for smarter work. So I thought I would start out with just what we're seeing and give you a sense of what we're hearing from our customers and from IT leaders. We're seeing a surge, obviously, in AI spending. Now, this is no surprise when you think about the impact that AI can have to business transformation. We've certainly seen that ourselves at Lenovo as we've applied AI to our factories and our supply chain and marketing and even legal. But also think about your workforce productivity. I can tell you the number one request I get from my project managers is for Copilot. So how many of you are using Copilot to take notes? Absolutely. Great note-taking, capturing the action items. So real impact. And then think about competitive advantage and how AI can really make a difference. And so IT leaders around the globe are recognizing this, and we're seeing almost a 3x increase in spend over the next year in AI solutions. So this is real. But scaling is hard. Scaling these solutions is really difficult. In fact, 96% of our IT leaders are saying they've got real concerns about governance, about security, about data quality, data preparation and readiness. And that's real. And less than half are saying, I don't really know if I'm ready. My IT infrastructure, do I need to modernize? Is my data preparation ready? And so these are real concerns that IT leaders have. So what are they doing about it? How are they leaning in to address these concerns? Well, there's two things that really stood out in some research that we recently conducted, some from IDC and then some from our own CIO study this year. Two things really kind of popped. One was hybrid infrastructure. So deploying hybrid capabilities is really factoring in to the way that IT leaders are going to address some of these challenges. And second was leaning into professional services, bringing in trusted advisors that can help you on that journey to implementing these AI solutions effectively. In fact, there was a recent MIT study that came out probably just in the last couple of months, and it said, the headline was 95% of AI POCs never make it to production. That was the headline. But what caught my attention, being in services, was of the 5% that did, they definitely leveraged trusted advisors, professional services to help make those implementations successful. So these are two of the things that really can make a difference. So how does Lenovo tie into this? Well, we take an approach of meeting our customers where they are along their journey. So if you're just starting at the beginning and you want to really focus on business objectives and strategy, we have consultants that can come in and sit down and work with you and really make sure that you're aligning to the needs of the business with advisory and consulting. If you need a plan, how do I migrate? How do I ensure that I'm ready for running these complex applications? We can come in and create roadmaps, technical roadmaps, bringing our architects and our data scientists and really giving you something that's actionable and ready to implement. And third is implementation, actually standing up the infrastructure, the middleware, creating the Gen AI solutions. We have a whole set of services that can make these solutions a reality. And then after that, we don't walk away. We'll provide support as well as managed services to ensure that these solutions are tuned and performing and aligned to the needs of the business. Now, we have this chart, we call it the 5 circles chart, but we recognize that AI is not a one-size-fits-all, and every customer is going to have a unique set of needs. And so we've created this framework that really looks at people, process, technology, and we take this approach starting with a discovery workshop. And this is really where we focus on the needs of the business to make sure that you've got clear objectives in mind and that AI can really solve and address those. Second is an advisory service where we come in and create those technical roadmaps, sitting down with your IT leadership and our data scientists and architects to create that actionable technology roadmap. Now, the third step is what we call Fast Start, and this is a production-ready MVP where you can actually experience and ensure that you're going to get the results that you're looking for before you go into a big production and implementation. Fourth is deploying this, putting this, making this a reality, putting it into production. And last is managing it. So keeping it current, making sure it's aligned to changing needs of the business. This is our approach to making these solutions a reality. Now, I apologize for the next chart. It's a little bit of an eye chart, but I wanted you to get a sense of what's in this solution stack. So in Lenovo Hybrid AI Services, we can deploy these entire solutions for you, starting with AI-ready hardware. We have a tremendous portfolio of servers, GPU-enabled, AI-ready for training, for inferencing on the edge. And we deploy these factories with a full set of capabilities. And these are validated designs, working with our partners like Microsoft and NVIDIA and Intel. And then we also have, at the top of the stack, a Lenovo Agent Management Platform. And this is a no-code, drag and drop your unstructured data, select an LLM, and in less than 10 minutes, you've got a RAG model, and it's production ready. A lot of capabilities around that platform that we've designed. And then on the right, you can see all the complement of services that we bring to our customers and our partners to stand these up, to deploy them, to configure them, to run them, and ensure you get the results that you're looking for. Now, I thought I would give you a real-world example of a client that we've deployed this solution with. And this is a partner called 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗸𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 resolution images and created a model. It turns out when you go in for an eye doctor appointment and you look at the eye, you can tell a lot about a person and their health. And one of the things is early detection about glaucoma and diabetic, I don't know if I would say it's retinopathy. So early detection of a blindness that's preventable. And so this partner leveraged our solution, our AI library, a vision-based system to create something that is, what we like to say, AI for good, something that is really making a difference in the lives of the environments that they're serving with this solution. So this is a real-world example. It's an external reference. There's a case study that's actually on our website about this. But I just want to give you one example. This is actually leveraging our Neptune technology, which is our water-cooled server, infrastructure server, and it's delivered in our TruScale infrastructure as a service consumption-based model, where you pay for what you use. So a very neat solution that's really driving a difference. Okay, so I talked about our approach. I wanted to just focus on two offerings that I wanted to highlight today, and really, give you a sense of what we can bring to you. Our AI Fast Start is a 90-day, from the time that we start the conversations to the time that you have a working model. We can deploy this Fast Start capability on a customer's premise, in the cloud, in our lab. I've got a lab that's set up to run these AI Fast Start engagements. And the idea is to give you fast results so you can see what these models can do, what AI solutions can do for you. It's not a it's not a pilot. This is actual production ready. And the idea is to use your data. We can also generate synthetic data and actually demonstrate what these AI capabilities are going to provide. So Fast Start is one. The other I wanted to share with you is our TruScale, which is our infrastructure as a service. We've had a long-standing relationship with Microsoft. Our servers are purpose-built to run Microsoft technology, and we can deploy these in a consumption-based model where you don't own the asset, but you're signing up for a service. And not only do we come in, rack and stack configure, but we manage. And we ensure by running periodic health checks that the solution is current and that it's performing to your needs. So we've got great capabilities, a number of server platforms that you can deploy, and basically get the advantage of having Lenovo augment your IT capabilities, so you can focus on more important priorities for the business. And we've seen a lot of success with this model. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Tiago at this point, but I just wanted to reiterate, AI is real. We're helping our customers cross the chasm, and we've got a complete set of capabilities that can help you deploy AI. All right, over to you, Tiago.
Thank you, Gerald. Appreciate it. Hey, everyone. By now, I think you should have realized that from a services and solutions perspective, Lenovo is completely agnostic, right? So I want to reemphasize that, because when people think about Lenovo, they normally think about the great Lenovo hardware, right? From a services and solutions perspective that we also provide, we really want to be your service provider, right? So we're agnostic from vendor hardware perspective and also from operating system perspective, if it comes to that. Now, Gerald was talking about AI solutions. There are three, at least, foundational layers when it comes to AI solutions, right? You have the compute. You need a lot of compute, right, to get the Gen AI and the AI solutions driving the outcomes that you need. You also need to have trust. Trust is very important, right? And I think we are at a place in the industry where we can actually put security first, right? We normally say, hey, security comes first, but reality is security never comes first, right? So I think we have a great opportunity with AI to actually think about security first, and then how we protect, the third pillar building block that is very important, which is the data, right? So in the next few minutes, I really want to walk you through what Lenovo is doing from a security services perspective or cybersecurity services perspective. And before that, I'll give you some insights of a survey that we did recently of 600 global CISOs and IT decision makers. So I want to give you those insights, so you have those insights as well, and you can leverage those as you make AI decisions, and then I'll be showcasing some of the solutions that we have. But before that, right, we need to have this slide that brings the reality to all of us. Hopefully, nothing new when you look at these slides, but Gen AI has really accelerated a lot of these things, right? So the cost of cybercrime is expected to be $12 trillion in 2025, right? That's a great business if you are a criminal, right? So if for folks that they do these day in, day out, obviously they will be leveraging AI and they'll try to take as much advantage of it as possible. Now, the average total cost of a breach, it's around 5 million, right, US dollars. Well, that is if you are not Jaguar Land Rover in the UK, right? I'm not sure if you have heard, but they were a target of a cyber attack, and they were the factory completely stopped for 4 weeks, right? The estimated cost of those 4 weeks, over $200 million, right? So we're talking about around 50 million per week. Imagine that. Now, talent shortage, right? This has been part of the cybersecurity industry for quite some time, right? Now it has accelerated, because you not only need practitioners with cybersecurity skills, but you need to have those AI skills as well to take advantage of the tools, because obviously the industry is moving very fast and we need to move at that pace. Phishing surge 500%, 500% due to Gen AI, right? So it's these numbers are really impressive, and then the alerts continue to be on the high volume side, and how to differentiate from noise and signals and so on. So anyway, just want to bring some perspective that I believe it's not major news for any of you, but something that we need to keep in mind. Now, business challenges. When businesses look at the AI challenges they are facing, right? Attacks are getting more and more sophisticated, right? The data exfiltration rate has accelerated by 100% with Gen AI, right? So a lot easier, a lot faster for folks to get access of your data if your system gets compromised. Ransomware as a service, right? Now you can actually go on the dark web and buy ransomware as a service, right? And then when it gets to payments, Well, you can use cryptocurrencies, and it's very difficult to track where the money is going. So this really helps the cybersecurity criminals, to continue to drive their business. Different security structures, right? The traditional organization has around 45 different security tools in their environment, right? This is 45 different tools getting different information, not talking with each other. We really need to fix that as an industry. People work from everywhere now, right? We have multiple endpoints, right? We work from the train, we work at home, we work from the office, right? It's very difficult to protect all these different endpoints. And then compute happens on-prem, in the cloud, hybrid, right? It's not like before that you were behind the firewall and you were somehow protected, right? So things have really changed, and as an industry, we need to change with it. So at Lenovo, when we look at AI security, right, the question that we've been asking ourselves is, do we believe that AI security will make the digital workplace experience smarter and more secure or not? And this is where I normally ask for your help, because every time I do this, I try to get a sense if you're making progress as an industry or not. So if you think that AI will make the future, the digital workplace, smarter and more secure, please raise your hand. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think we're improving. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. I like to see that, and hopefully, in a few months or next time, I ask the question, we'll have more hands being raised. Now, let me share with you some insights that I promised earlier on in terms of the survey that we did, right? And keep in mind, these are 600 global CISOs and IT leaders, right? And they all understand that securing against AI threats is critical, right? But 90% of them doesn't have very confidence that they can actually protect against these cyber threats, right? That's a huge number. So I guess when we raised our hands here, in a way aligns with what we saw from a survey perspective, right? 81% say that having a very secure digital experience is very important, right? But only 40% have actually started thinking about it. And we're not talking about implementing it. We're talking about thinking about it. The other 60 are not there yet. And then I'm not going through the data that you can see on your right-hand side, but keep in mind that the data that we have there, the results are from a CISO and IT decision makers perspective, right? If we look at talking with CFOs, CEOs, some of the numbers there will look very different. But anyway, hopefully good insights for you to have as you make decisions. And then when we look at the different cyber risks that can arise, right? You can tell that leaders understand the risks, but their level of confidence is really not there, right? So they understand that AI will be used by cyber criminals, but only 31% are somehow confident that they can mitigate those risks. Now, the last one is really interesting, right? The last one is really interesting because it talks about AI solutions, right? Organizations developing AI solutions. And somehow, the leaders believe that they can actually build very secure AI solutions. I'm not sure if that's the experience that we have in your organization. If it is, congratulations, right? But I really want to challenge this number, right? And maybe, there are things that folks don't know, and because they don't know, they believe they can do it, and maybe they're being over-optimistic on this front. But that's the number that, I'd love to have a chance to follow up with folks to understand why they are really confident in this domain, because I think as an industry, we're not there yet. So let's get a bit more technical here, right? Data protection, right? That's key, right? That's what AI leverages in terms of one of the foundational building blocks. So it's very important, to protect data. It's identified as a threat vector there, but only around half of the folks that answered our survey believe that they can address this risk, right? And then I'll call out your attention to the last pointer on the chart here, endpoint security. Again, and maybe there is no coincidence that they're at the bottom, but this is another one that surprised me because as an industry, we have come a long way, right? I'm not sure if how many of you have been in the security domain and for a long, but many years ago, right, we had to update the virus list definitions manually, right? And then the process started being automated, right? And in nowadays, people don't really know what's updating virus definitions anymore. right? It just gets done. And then with the new AI next generation antivirus solutions, right, they actually look at behaviors as well. So this is a result that I hoped was going to be higher, because I think from an endpoint security perspective, we have come a long way. Now, to wrap up, the insights, right? The three top barriers that were identified is really the complex environments, right? A lot of organizations have old infrastructure. It's difficult to bring everything up to speed. It's difficult to have different tools talking with each other, right? So this is really a barrier that leaders told us that they are facing. Lack of skilled cybersecurity staff, already talked about that one. And then the cost of solutions and limited budgets, right? If there is anyone in this room that tells me that, hey, my security budget is increasing, well, congratulations, you really did a good job pitching your case, and that's what we need to do. But unfortunately, that's really not the case, right? Cybersecurity or other domains is trying to do more with less, right? And that's also the value proposition of a lot of the AI agents that also need to be secure. But I'll mention one thing, right? I think all of us will agree that we have never seen a CISO being fired because overinvested in security. But the reverse has happened, right? If CISOs are not able to protect their organizations, if there is a major breach, they tend to be invited to spend more time with the family, right? If you know what I mean. So moving on, from a Lenovo perspective, right? We take security very, very seriously, right? And we approach it, in a layered manner, right? And it starts with that foundation at the top, right? The secure development lifecycle that we do for products, trust, vetting the vendors that we have in our organization, and even having solutions that allows us to track the devices from the time they leave the factory to the time they get to the hands of the user, right? To make sure that they were not tampered along the way. And if you look up, there are multiple cases where this has happened. And there are very sophisticated agencies that normally try to leverage these. And then we have the below the OS layer as well, right? Where we have a lot of technology around the firmware resiliency, self-healing BIOS, and then leveraging some of the technology to make sure that we can disable devices remotely, or even make sure that they don't leave a specific geographical location, right? So we provide all these solutions. Operative system to cloud. A lot of solutions in this domain as well. We work with a lot of partners in this domain. This is where we have our own IP, but we also leverage IP from partners in this domain, and where the next generation antivirus in a way comes in. And then we have the services layer, right? And that's really the focus that I want to drive in the next few minutes. It's really to give you more details about the services layer, which includes the professional and the managed services. Now, because this is a Microsoft conference, right, we need to show a Microsoft view of this. So when it comes to OS to cloud, the different technologies, or some of the different technologies that we leverage from Microsoft, right, are detailed on this slide. Microsoft Entra in terms of identity and access management, right, Purview for data protection, Microsoft Defender and Defender for Cloud as well for detection and response, and then the Sentinel that brings it all together in terms of SIEM and SOAR, and obviously the Azure Lighthouse that helps us to manage different customer environments. Now, around 4 or 5 years ago, when we started thinking about approaching the cybersecurity services area, right, we spent a lot of time doing this, and we just didn't want to build point solutions, right? That's what everybody was doing. We're just building point solutions, solution for this tool, that tool. We wanted to approach it differently, and we wanted to approach it from a resiliency perspective. How can we help organizations to be more resilient? And by doing so, helping them to improve their security posture, and making sure that if they're the target of a cyber attack, they can recover quickly, or maybe not having to recover at all, because they will have continuous operations. So this is how we started approaching our security services. And as part of that, we built this CRAS framework, Cyber Resiliency as a Service framework. And as part of this framework, there are multiple tools, multiple services with different alliances partners that, and I'll mention in some of the slides. But it all starts with assessing the customer environment, understanding the security posture, understand where you want to go in terms of a business. What's the security posture that you feel comfortable with? And then figuring out the set of services that you might not have and you need, and the tools that can go along those services as well. And then doing this in an ongoing manner, as Gerald was saying. It's not just deploying, support, but also improvement as well. Keep improving that security posture, and obviously keeping an eye on the new technology that is launched, so we can provide the best services and outcomes. Now, there are 4 layers, and yes, you see 5 on the slide, right? So I'll call it 4 plus 1, because really when it comes to security for AI, right, or even the other cybersecurity areas, right, we do have access and trust management, data protection, visibility and risk management, and then cyber detection response. But because we're getting a lot of questions, well, what about security for AI? We just added that's a pillar at the end that talks about security for AI. But in theory, with all the other 4 pillars, we can actually cover security for AI as well. And we do this across endpoints, across cloud, and obviously AI. Now, this is an eye chart. There's a lot of information here, and we don't have time to go through all the details. But the takeaway that I want you to have from this slide is that we spent a lot of time working with Microsoft experts. And we built all the structure that we have around the Microsoft Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. So we didn't do this just by ourselves. We worked with our partners, in this case with Microsoft. And a lot of what we have, in this case, leverages the Microsoft security stack to provide the outcomes that customer needs in different domains. Now, because presentations are more exciting with the video, right, I thought I would include a short video, 40 seconds, just to keep things going, the level of energy, and then I'll start concluding the session.
Lenovo's Cyber Resiliency as a Service, powered by Gen AI. Our comprehensive managed cybersecurity services protect your organization from escalating threats and attacks. With your devices and data secured, your business can focus on growth and innovation. Experience Work Reborn with Care of One and Lenovo's digital workplace solutions. Elevate productivity, creativity, and employee satisfaction. The vision is yours. Get there with Lenovo. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation.
Lenovo. All right, hopefully that was an exciting video, and if I was putting you to sleep, now you feel more awake. If you go to our booth, and we do have a booth at the hub, you might see some familiar faces that were on the video at the booth, and those folks will be able to answer questions. Now, let me share some details about our approach when it comes to security for AI, and not to be confused with AI security, right? There is AI security in terms of how do you build very good, secure as much as possible. There is nothing 100% secure AI solutions, right? How do you optimize your security development lifecycle to build those solutions? But in this case, it's more in terms of protecting those solutions that are already in place, and in a way, protecting against AI cyber threats. So we did an exercise as a team in terms of trying to identify the different threats that arise from Gen AI and AI technologies in general, right? This is just some examples of the threats that we identified. So the second step was, all right, so we have the threats. Now let's look at the attack vectors, right? What are the different attack vectors in an architecture, right, that we might need to protect, and how do we get there? Right, so you'll see the different places here, right? And I'm not going to spend a lot of the time going through all the details because there are a lot of details here. But you'll see that there is a cloud on-prem piece, and you'll see the different threats that might arise at that layer, and then our tools, the tools that we're leveraging from a Microsoft perspective, to help to protect that specific layer, right? And obviously, on the data side as well, data tampering, data leakage, and then we'll leverage a Microsoft Purview to help mitigate some of the threats there. And then on the data platform side, quality issues, malicious data injection, we'll leverage Defender for Cloud and then Defender for Server. And then MLOps, and I keep clicking here because there's a lot of information here, and then LLOps, the large language models operations and machine learning operations, right? We bring Entra ID in, so we can drive that identity management for the different agents and folks that have access to the data in coordination with Microsoft Purview as well. And then we get into the consumption piece, right, which includes the agents at the bottom as well, right? And this is where we'll bring the SPP from Purview, and then, again, Microsoft Entra to make sure that those agents have an identity as well, right? So not only initially making sure that things are set up properly, but the continuous monitoring to make sure that agents don't have more access that they are supposed to. Now, wrapping up, this AI section here, AI brings risks. I think we all know that, right? That's not news for anyone. And it's really important for us to start thinking in a proactive manner to leverage AI to defend against AI as well. So really important for us to start having this mindset because, AI is not going anywhere. AI is staying, and criminals are taking advantage of it, and we need to be one step ahead. Now, from a Lenovo perspective, right, we provide services that are 24/7. We work with customers to fit our services to their needs, so we're very flexible in our approach, and we have a team of experts globally. And as I mentioned earlier on, we cannot do this alone, right? So we leverage very powerful alliances to build our services and to provide the outcomes that you drive. And obviously, Microsoft is one of our powerful alliances, as you can see on the slide. Now, from a cybersecurity perspective, right, in the past, I think we're driving a lot of conversations, a lot of investments from a technical perspective, right? Oh, there is this solution that can do this and that, things have changed. Things have changed. And because things have changed, we realize that as well. So when we have conversations with customers, we have conversations about outcomes that our cybersecurity solutions drive. Not that I have this, fantastic cybersecurity solution that can, protect against these many attacks, identify, these many things at, X speed and so on. That's not the conversation that we need to have. It's more a business conversation, and that helps normally to get the needed funding for us to do the needed improvements from a cybersecurity perspective. Important to say as well that when we built our framework, we anchored on the NIST cybersecurity framework as well. So we anchored on standards that have already existed and a lot of organizations are following. So key takeaways from this session, right? AI cyber threats bring real disruption. I think we all know that. Understand that AI security is different than security for AI. And we need to be one step ahead of the bad guys all the time, right? Because they do this full time. So we need to have folks that do this full time as well to be one step ahead of them. As much as possible, try to approach security in a holistic manner, right? We still get a lot of RFPs and a lot of conversations with customers where they ask us for something really specific. Oh, I would need help with vulnerability management. I need help with identity and access management. I need help with multi-factor authentication, right? Approach it holistically, right? Because it's a lot easier for you to improve your security posture if you do that. So that's, a mindset that we need to have as an industry. And then think resiliency, right? Again, don't think about specific solutions that can do X and Y for you. Think about how do you drive resiliency of the organization. Think about the different threat factors that you have in your organization, and how can you proactively mitigate against some of the threats that might arise. So with that, I'll go back to the question that I asked initially. And I really hope that in a few weeks, in a few months, in a few years, we can really leverage AI to make the workplace a lot smarter and a lot safer for all of us. With that, thank you very much for your time. Gerald and I will be here if you have any questions. I appreciate it.